Hello. More trig fun coming your way. All right, find the 6 trig functions, function values of angle theta with terminal side passing through point -3, 0. So remember, terminal means ending, okay? This one, let's look at what this is. So let's graph -3 zeros over here, right? Okay, so this is a little tricky. If this was a -1, it'd be pretty easy, but it's not. And I can't really pass through. This is an ending side of a triangle. So that would be the hypotenuse that is on an axis. So can I make a triangle like that? I sure cannot. Okay. So whenever it has a matter of zeros and ones, or in this case, threes, it's going to be on one of the axes. Okay. If this was -3, 1, or any other value than 0, it would be a triangle. Okay. But because one of these guys is a 0, we know it's on our axes. Okay. A unit circle we know is radius of 1. This is not radius 1. So we have to do a little bit more work. So we know that sine theta is equal to the y value, and we know cosine theta is equal to the x value. I hope you remember that. And we know that this goes cos and sine on our unit circle, right? But our unit circle has radius 1. This one is not radius 1. So these really are the ratio of y over r, x over r, but typically it's 1, so we don't really need to worry about it, okay? Only when this value is not 1 do we have to worry about it. So here's what we need to do. We know cosine, that's the one we need to worry about right here. Cosine is going to be our x value, which is -3. Let me read what we're doing. We're doing the cosine. Is x over r, right? Well, the x is -3. What is the radius if I were to make this unit circle right here? The radius would be 3 as well, correct? Whoops, not 1, 3. Well, what is -3 over 3? -1. So really the cosine value is -1, okay? So let's go ahead and do this. So we have these x values, the y values, and now our r values. We're given the point x, so we know x is -3. We're given the point, so we know y is the 0. And we know the radius of this unit circle is not -3, because we can't have a radius length of negative, but it's 3. So when we want to find the sine and the cosine, well, sine is going to be the y value over 3. Well, what's 0 divided by 3? 0. And we want to find the 6 trig functions. So let's go ahead and write those guys down. So we got sine, we got cosine, we got tangent, we got cosecant, secant, cotangent. Okay. Well, we just figured out that cosine is equal to -1, and then we just said sine. So let's look at sine. So sine is our y value. So y value, our y value is 0. And our radius is -3. Well, 0 divided by anything is still 0. Okay. We know our tangent is our sine over our cosine value. So sine 0 divided by -1 is 0. Okay. Then let's reciprocate this. So this we said was 0 over -3, right? So if we reciprocate this, we get -3 over 0. So that's the reciprocal of it. Can we divide by 0? We sure cannot. So this one explodes. Okay, ready for a drawing? This is going to look like a tree. It's not a tree, it's an explosion. Confusing, I know. This does not exist. We can't divide by 0. So this is a DNE. Does not exist, or no solution. But most in math, especially on the higher levels that you get, you see DNE does not exist. Okay. Secant, what is the reciprocal of -1? Well, it's -1. Don't switch the signs. So many kids try to switch the signs on reciprocals. We don't switch the signs on reciprocals. Okay, what's the reciprocal of 0? Oh, it's an explosion again, DNE. So here are 6 trig values when we go through -3 and 0. So here's the reasoning behind how we're going to get -1. Whenever you see this, if it was 2 and 0, whatever, you can just call that 1 if you wanted to. The reasoning behind it, we're taking that value 2 and dividing it by our radius, which is not 1 in this unit circle. It would be 2. So we divide 2 by 2. So little shortcut if you wanted to. Here's the explanation on how and why. Will you be asked how and why that's true? Probably not, but there it is, the long and dirty part of why it becomes 1.